Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles and I'm Bob. That's right, and that's Bob. I hope that this finds you well and that you're having a really lovely day. And if not, I'm just glad that you're here. So just hunker on down and we'll just have a little conversation about this and that. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about our amazing brain machine. I was having a fantastic conversation with this amazing human recently, and it started with the suffering that we endure for various reasons. And as our conversation got deeper, we agreed that pain and fear is important in our lives, important because it makes us stronger. The Western ethic is to push it down, just get on with it or avoid it, overcome it. And if we're following some spiritual practice, believing if we do good things that we won't ever have to have problems again. Life, with all her quirks, it's terribly important to making us stronger. I'm quite a buoyant person, I guess you could say. We are not a one-size-fits-all species, are we? Happiness and well-being is important. Sparkle and sass, well, slap my ass. Here's what I think on a life lived and a lot of conversations with pretty amazing people has told me. You want to fill your brain with great ideas. You want to do things, consume art that not necessarily supports your idea of brilliance or interest, but pushes you. Art, whatever she is to you, that not only moves you, but challenges you. Listen to music you might not necessarily normally listen to. Then maybe get onto the internet and find out about their ideas and motivations, books, audio or otherwise, movies. Watch different genres, maybe research some of the philosophies behind the ideas. I see it this way. You're going to be older for a lot longer than you're young. So if you need your subconscious hungry for knowledge, music and art, have it loaded with stuff to make your conscious mind more interesting, making you more interesting and you more interested, and turns that amazing complex brain of yours into a finely tuned critical thinking machine. I just love that. Me too, I've got a great brain. You do, Bob. Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense garbage out there for sure, marble dwellers, but there's a lot of great stuff too. Find that. I've been doodling, writing for years, at least twice a week minimum. I write down goals, I write down if I've achieved what I set out to do. I am a doer, and so I can easily overlook what I actually do. I create reels and stories on my Facebook page called Rock Chicks, where I put up posts about my art and the Jar of Marbles podcast. The Rock Chicks are the many, many stones that I've painted, both large and small, who I finally call my representatives of the podcast. Look, it's just a lot of fun, but, it makes, has made people happy and it makes me happy. So hell, why not? I kind of make it up as I go. And in this instance, it has worked out quite well. My brain just laps up the creativity and I don't limit myself. My brain machine loves it. Point is about the reels and announcements about upcoming podcasts is it all keeps me thinking and dedicated. Turns out what looks like a lot of work is me in my element. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. 60% of the human brain is made of fat. Not only does that make it the fattiest organ in the human body, but these fatty acids are crucial for your brain's performance. Make sure you're fueling it appropriately with healthy fats. Interestingly, your brain isn't fully formed till at least age 28. Brain development begins from the back of the brain and works its way to the front. Therefore, your frontal lobes, which control planning and reasoning, are the last to strengthen and structure connections. Your brain's storage capacity is considered virtually unlimited. Research suggests the human brain consists of about 86 billion neurons. Each neuron forms connections to other neurons, which could add up to 1 quadrillion, which is 1,000 trillion connections. My goodness. I just love this subject. Over time, amazingly, these neurons can combine, increasing storage capacity. However, in Alzheimer's disease, for example, many neurons can become damaged and stop working, particularly affecting the memory. And Did you know brain information travels up to an impressive 268 miles per hour? I know. And do you know that I'm a vibrant, intelligent man? Oh, I do, Bob. It's a myth that you only use 10% of your brain. You actually use all of it. And even when you are sleeping, neurologists confirm that your brain is always active. Your subconscious is always active. And I also love finding out what has been debunked in the field of science, particularly the brain, that there is so much to know and that much now can be readily applied to yourself by yourself. An example would be if you find you get annoyed easily or the same thoughts seem to cascade through your mind and there never seems to be a stop, that you're going through your day, next thing a strong stream of thoughts run through your amazing brain machine, and then before you know it, you really start feeling awful. I know how that feels, especially if something hasn't been ever discussed or resolved properly, and as we know in life, that often doesn't happen. We often don't get, much in our life resolved as we would like it to be. Depending on who's who in your situation, it can feel like a heavy, dense sort of dead end, but it doesn't have to be. There is an out. Now, to be clear, I have no letters after my name. I am not a therapist, nor I claim to be. I've just observed my own self and others in my life, and I've done a lot of reading and just found what works for me, and it is amazing. There's so much information out there, good information. So I guess what I'm talking about is irritations, habits that can be abolished and sent out for all time. Just let it go. But I have found ways to get right past thoughts that simply do not serve me. Those thoughts that hold you back, and maybe you don't sleep well and you just feel all round rubbish. There is and will always be things to get upset about, super passionate about in your own life, internationally, friends with family. There will always be something to bite into, but if it makes you feel bad, then to me, then it's of no value. I also think that there's been way too much emphasis on playing nice, not being argumentative, being very people-pleasing, that we sell ourselves so short in the end that we don't actually know whether we're coming or, bloody going.
You said bloody.
That's right, Bob. Good observing.
Thank you. I've got a joke. If you see a crime at an Apple store, does that mean that makes you an eyewitness?
Oh, it's not bad. I do like your jokes though, Bob.
Yeah, me too. Can finally get a word in.
What was that?
Nothing. I'm handsome.
What says you, Bob?
Nothing. Carry on.
Now, aside your brain using 20% of the body's oxygen, it is also the only organ in the body that has no nerves and feels no pain. I know. And did you know that the brain has a joke centre? And if it's damaged, people are reported as to not being able to get jokes. That's our frontal lobes. Most of us have heard of or know someone who has Alzheimer's disease. It is a degenerative brain disorder that causes progressive memory loss, cognitive decline and behavioural changes. It is the most common cause of dementia in older adults. It works out basically if you are diagnosed early enough, it's basically, I think it's something like 5 years and, you will have passed, which is just shocking when you think about it. That's how long it takes for the brain to finally shut itself down. My mother died from this, and not before having two separate strokes in her brain, which defied the odds of survival, but she did for quite some time after. She had no idea who I was, as this disease typically works. And there may be some people that can relate to this aspect. As I had been estranged for decades from my mother, the only reason I actually got to see her and be with her was because she didn't know who I was. I saw her every day. I had to go overseas to see her, and sometimes twice in a day, and very quickly her quirkiness and individuality started shining through. Her humour returned, her remarks, mannerisms that made her her. Still, of course, had no idea who I was. I would sit and watch her sleep, looking at this lady who was a virtual stranger, and yet birthed me and then walked away from me. I had this portion of time to make some kind of peace with a situation that had been impossible to accept, but I did as best as I could. And I did. I used my amazing brain machine to sort myself out. Hashtag our amazing brain machines. As an example, I put myself on the operating table. I hadn't done anything to my mother. I hadn't disrespected her. I had looked out for her. And when she was in Australia and on her return to New Zealand, this was not the first time my mother had denied my existence when I'd given birth to my first daughter, some 37 plus years ago. She, after finding out that I'd visited my father, she didn't get over the divorce. She didn't speak to me for 8 years, so she didn't see her granddaughter again until she was nearly 9. And by then, I'd had another little girl. Now, it was a really tough thing to go through. I was only 23, living in another country with my first baby, and my mother returning to send my letters, no emails then, and hanging up on me when I rang. It was cruel, and she built a case against me, and to this day is still will never understand how you cut out a daughter, a good daughter. Then she did it again to me when I was 35 and never spoke to me again. Again, nothing to my knowledge had happened, and over time, as the years went by, my third daughter was born, still no contact. Point is, I had to find a way to navigate the denial of my existence. And over time, I had to look at it from as many angles as possible in order to be a good mum and a decent human being, or at least not a raving lunatic, because these sort of things can really play heavily and could change the way that you view happiness or view your whole existence. I truly believe my saving grace was we were not really a close family ever, and I had to get honest about my childhood in order to understand where I had found myself. And did it actually matter? Being busy with 3 daughters in my own life, it became clear to me that I had to push on, be grateful for what I had and not what I didn't have. And over time, one does what one must do, which is get on with your own life. For a while, little stories would come through as my grapevine got smaller and smaller and smaller. So I really had no idea what was being said, what was happening. And in the end, it just didn't bother me. And when I say that, I taught myself not to let it bother me, because the alternative was just feeling absolutely weighed down in a way that I wouldn't even be able to function as a human being. The cruelty and the sadness and the anger and the loss of what I thought I'd lost, and until I got really, 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 really honest and realised that, I had left my country of origin to start a new life in another country. And I know people do that even though they're close to their family, but I wasn't. And so then I just go, well, it doesn't bother me. And why not, you may ask?
Well, yeah, how come?
Because I relied on myself, Bob, and had been given the choice, fall over or walk on, and I sure as hell wasn't going to fall over. Why would I do that when what was being dealt out was narcissistic, it was lies, things had been twisted, and honestly, it was embarrassing. And I mean embarrassing for them. They had managed to infiltrate some of my friendships who I thought would be my friends for all time, and I guess they felt like they didn't want to take sides, and it was like, you don't even know these people, but anyway. And then that was another lesson in loyalty, that people that I never thought I'd lose in my life, I actually did. And they might think that they're in my life or they're a part of my life, but I can assure you they actually aren't, because I don't trust them. And why would I? I have no interest in being around people who I don't trust. I would rather talk to a tree. And that's not insulting to trees, because trees don't argue with you. I can say from my own experience that you say what's what, who's who, you get to say what you're going to put up with. I've never lost one night's sleep over lies. I can sleep at night knowing I am an honourable person, that anything less than being respectful, I just won't accept. My amazing brain machine just says no.
No.
That's right, Bob. If you peel back the layers of most problems, if you're dealing with people who lie, cannot tell the truth or admit fault, and let's say you're waiting for that to happen, you are hoping it will happen, I just hope you're not holding your breath. It will not happen. You have to rely on you. Best thing ever. And throw into the mix a good friend or two, and you are home and hosed. Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, yes, 100%. Look, I'm so grateful to my amazing brain machine. It truly protected me from Neanderthals, heart and brain dead sorts, users, and people who just hoped to hurt me. I mean, I know there's people out there going, yep, know that one. It's huge. It's rife out there. Now, I don't know about you, but that's just plain weird. And I'll tell you another thing for free. Oh, I like free things. Here it comes, Bob. Another great reason to protect yourself from people who cause you endless stress. Chronic stress causes brain damage in multiple ways. It can disrupt synapse regulation, which results in a loss of sociability and the general avoidance of interactions. Stress can kill brain cells and then make our brain smaller. It can trigger long-term changes in the brain structure and function and leave it with a predisposition to a constant state of fight or flight. So I know we all know about that, and contributes to mental illness, memory impairment, and depression. Knowing this really made me sit up and take notice. I just sort of thought, hold on a minute, I need to, think about all this. I need to educate myself on this. Hence why I have a real aversion to anything that looks like drama. I call it being drama-free, or, someone's being drama-y. I just like to be drama-free. Yeah, no. I know how things hurt me, and I also know that getting back to feeling myself can take time, involves processes. So on a day-to-day basis, I do check in with myself and make intentions as opposed to just letting things happen to me. If nothing else, shitty situations have taught me a lot that I otherwise would not even thought of in a pink fit. When it's time to say goodbye, I just think that sometimes we've just got to go. I know that, a lot of people feel like they really have to, get the reasons why, or they just need to, go and spend time with the person, if that's even possible, to find out why. But if their behaviour has been really, really bad for a very, very long time, honest to God, it's just a complete waste of time. And for me, when I noticed that the years were going by, and we're talking now decades, and nothing has changed, I would have lost 30 years of my life. For what? And that's why I'm so pleased with myself. Pleased probably isn't the right word, but I'm quietly proud of myself that I didn't go, you know what? I'm gonna suck this and put up with this. No, I'm not. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get on with my own life, because you know why? Because it's my life and you've got your life, and we have these amazing brains that if we use them properly and we do things on a regular basis, you create new patterns, new habits, and you actually start feeling better. And I'm all for that. My only motivation to share these stories from yesteryear, and some of these things did happen decades ago, is that if you're going through it or you've been through it, then at the very least hey, you're not alone. There is a whole bunch of us out there get it. We all know this happy ever after thing isn't, if not everyone gets to experience that. Not to say you never will, but sometimes we have a story that is what it is, and my only intention is that to put myself right out on the line to go, hey, this has happened to me, I get it, and let's move forward on it, because we can. These amazing brains that we have are just, well, I'm just genuinely impressed, as you know. Green means go. Most of us accept this as common knowledge, but it's actually an example of a micro decision. In this case, your brain is deciding to go when you see the colour green. We all make countless of these subconscious decisions every day. Many things that you might think just come naturally to you are actually caused by heuristics, and they are mental shortcuts that allow you to quickly process information and take action. Heuristics help you to make smaller, almost unnoticeable decisions using past information without much rational input from your brain. Heuristics create biases. While these cognitive biases encourage us to, or enable us to make rapid-fire decisions, they can also lead to rigid, unhelpful beliefs. For example, confirmation bias makes it more likely that you'll seek out others' opinions than agree or, stand by your own. This makes it harder to keep an open mind, hear from the other side, and ultimately change your mind, which doesn't help you build the flexibility and adaptability so important for independent thinking. An amazing brain machine we have. The brain is a complex organ and has at least 3 levels of functions that affect all aspects of our daily lives: interpretation of senses and control of movement, maintenance of cognitive, mental and emotional processes, and maintenance of normal behaviour and social cognition. And did you know?
Oh, I do like it, did you know?
Good, Bob. Did you know that signs of successful brain surgeries go as far back as the Stone Age?
Oh, I can't think of all that clinking and chinking away.
I know, me neither, Bob. And did you know an average brain weighs about 3 pounds, which is about 1.36 and a number of other numbers, kilos, so 1.3 kilos. Considering all it does, that is actually quite amazing. Oh, just love the brain. About 75% of the brain is made up of water, and the human brain will grow 3 times its size in the first year of life and continues to grow until we're about 18 years old. Information runs between neurons for everything we see, think, or do. These neurons move information at different speeds. But the fastest speed for information to pass between neurons is about 250 miles per hour.
It's a bit fast, 250 miles an hour.
Yeah, I know, it's very fast.
I'm placing you under arrest for speeding and for being too cute. Oh, I'll take it.
I'll take it. The human brain is the only object of any kind that can contemplate itself.
Oh, what a blowout.
I know, Bob. I've been in awe of the brain for a long time and feel fortunate that we live in an age where there is so much information, so many smart people to talk to. If you want answers, you will find them. There are many interesting people with incredible experiences, and I find that really intriguing. And so much can be applied to our lives, to ourselves. I love that I can change my thinking by applying new lines of thought, and if done repeatedly, we can change our reaction to much that plagues us. We already have automatic responses to stresses. For example, we fall into patterns. We feel our heart beating fast, or maybe you get sudden headache, or you get achy bones, whatever it is. We all have telling signs when we are under the pump. That is the part that really interests me. My understanding is if the brain is so powerful, then why can't I change my responses and watch different outcomes? And I have. I used to be a real hothead in my younger days, and I was quite easily provoked. I'd be teased about being so easy to get a reaction out of that I bit back really easily. And looking back, that was true. But that was the opinion of people who didn't want to own up to their behaviours. And then when I reacted, I was the crazy one. Yeah, right. Okay. You would have heard of this type of behaviour before. Anywho, after these sometimes explosive arguments, we'd call them that for want of another way of talking about it, because it sure as hell wasn't fun. I'd be left feeling exhausted and heavy-headed and quite confused. I realised I didn't have to feel like that. I didn't have to buy into any of it, and it did take time to change it, but I did change it. There were quite a few dynamics going on. Not all were mine, but the part that were mine, I could acknowledge and do something about. I'm talking years and years ago, but it is without a doubt proof, if only to myself, that changes can be implemented. That as a more conscious self-respect for myself grew, there was no place for anyone to do it to me and say stupid things like,
"Oh, I was only joking."
Yeah, that's right, Bob, sort of like that, very nasally, when clearly they were not presenting their stand-up comedian piece, albeit on your time. Not funny. It all comes back to self-respect in the end, marble dwellers. What you will and will not cop. Put up with, suck up and endure. And you know what? That's what I reckon. Forget it. Yeah, say thanks, but no thanks. Well, it's that time again, marble dwellers. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just whizzing on by the time, isn't it? As Napoleon Hill said, you have a brain and a mind of your own. Use it and reach your own decisions.
I don't like to say goodbye.
It's okay, Bob. We'll be back before you know it.
Not really.
Bob, your mind is a powerful thing, and when you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And I think of it like this too, Bob. A positive mind finds opportunity in everything, while the negative mind finds fault in everything.
Oh, yeah, that's true, isn't it?
It is. We have so much more power than we are told, and it is a solid fact that we actually have a lot of power. And as Mark Victor Hansen said, focused mind power is one of the strongest forces on earth. So anywho, we'll love you and leave you and see you again. Say good day to the family for me. Give the turkey a hoot, and we'll see you next time. Okay then. Bye.